This one.
Is
This
it
one is
working?
short.
There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For a start, Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion by my learned colleague, Honorable Mutuse. Most of the things, Mr. Speaker, have been said, but allow me to say a few things. Number one, allow me to borrow on the then Council of White House during the Clinton administration. He said, impeachment is not a remedy for private wrongs. It's a method for removing someone whose continued presence in office would cause danger to the nation. Mr. Speaker, my position is the continued stay in office of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is a threat to the nation of Kenya. I continue by saying this, Mr. Speaker. Between 1963, when we got independence, we had a vice president in the name of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. He never said, do not touch Luo Nyanza. During the President Moi's regime, we had George Saitoti. We had Musalia Mudavadi. He never said, do not touch Luya Nation. During the time of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, he never said, do not touch Ukambani. But we have a deputy president, Mr. Speaker, who is obsessed with a certain region in this country. Mr. Speaker, secondly, Mr. Speaker, much has been said by my learned colleagues in this house. But I want to borrow something, Mr. Speaker. Article 145 of the Constitution provides for reasons for impeachment of a deputy president and the president. The case of this during Sonko's impeachment, the Supreme Court laid certain guidelines and said that the question as to whether or not there is a violation of a constitution should be guided by certain principles. Number one, whether there is interference with the constitutional functions of the legislature and the judiciary. My submissions is that the utterances of the deputy president in relation to his cases in court is interference with the constitutional functions of the legislature and the judiciary. Another ground that has been given in determination as to whether or not there is a violation of the constitution is whether there is an abuse of the code of conduct. Mr. Speaker, my argument is the constant pronunciation by the deputy president that divides the country in terms of regions and tribe is an abuse of code of conduct and is a ground for impeachment. Another criteria given is the disregard and breach of fundamental rights of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. In Taveta, where I come from, there are two minority tribes. There is the Taveta tribe and there is the Pare tribe, with a minority tribes in Kenya. Article 56 of the Constitution says that the state should do everything within its means to ensure that marginalized tribes in Kenya are protected. Mr. Speaker, the pronouncement of the deputy president about a certain region without considering the Tavetas of Taveta, or the Pares of Taveta, is a violation of fundamental rights and freedom as guaranteed by Article 56 and is a ground for impeachment. Very lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. Even in Taveta, there are Kikuyus. So if we constantly obsessed of Mount Kenya, who will speak for the Kikuyus who live in Tavetas? And that is why I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, because of the obsession of Mount Kenya, because of obsession of a certain region, Rigathi Gachagua must go.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start with, there was a spat between the Pope and Napoleon in 1800. And this is what Napoleon asked the Pope. Pope, how many divisions do you have? Then the Pope replied, I have the Catholic Church. Honorable Speaker, yesterday, during the interview, the Deputy President came up strongly to almost insinuate that this parliament is a bunch of clowns. But this parliament is guided by so many things. But the very important instrument this parliament wields is this thing called the Constitution. It is the supreme law of the land. Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons why the Deputy President must be impeached is the issue of national unity. He came on public stage to talk about one issue that eventually will discriminate the minorities. One man, one vote, one shilling. That is important in the way he says. But in a sense, the regions that are behind, that are discriminated, that are marginalized, will continue to be behind. Honorable Speaker, Article 56, A1, it talks about minority groups, why they must be in government, why they must be represented. Honorable Speaker, this country must move forward, and it must move as one nation, one people. We are of different nationalities. It is the Deputy President who stood in a public place to say that the problem of this country is the Somalis. The Somalis are part and parcel of this nation. They have done great contribution to this country, and they cannot be excluded for anything. Honorable Speaker, the second issue why the Deputy President must and he has to leave that office is on the matters of national security. He is privy to National Security Council meetings. He attends. Sometimes he could chair. For him to come out and divulge those information to public of need-to-know basis, then it means he has crossed the red line. Honorable Speaker, the third issue is Article 147. The Deputy President is the principal assistant to the President. And sometimes when the President is away, he's delegated to be the President. This happened in the 11th Parliament when Uhuru Kenyatta was attending ICC. And he wrote down that President Ruto will act on his behalf. It can happen even this time. If we have a president who is already determined to discriminate some parts of the country, then how do we trust him with power? Honorable Speaker, lastly, he is not assisting or supporting the president. Finance Bill 2024-25 was thrown out by Parliament, was thrown out by the people. Not that people didn't want it, not Parliament didn't want it, because he never supported it. He kept on campaigning against the finance bill. For those reasons, Honorable Speaker, I think the Deputy President must be impeached. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Farah Malim.
Mr. Speaker, I want to weigh on this motion. Mr. Speaker, we are not trying to reinvent the wheel again. We have had Deputy President, before that we have had Vice Presidents. One, Andrei Gromyko of Russia, was one time asked why he has remained as the Deputy President for so long. And somebody else said, to be a Deputy President, you have to have the capacity to sit on a block of ice with your pants down and make a green. A Deputy President is no more than a personal assistant to the President. And that's how it's provided for in all constitutions, all over. I haven't seen one in which certain executive authority is given to the Deputy President. In the US, if you remember very well, when John F. Kennedy was the President, there was a brother of John F. Kennedy who was Attorney General, who was called Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy literally did not think Lyndon B. Johnson was anything. But Lyndon B. Johnson kept tight, watched his cool, and later on he became the president of the US. In our own country, Mr. Speaker, can you protect me from our friends? In our own country here, I know many of you are not my age, you're younger than me, but a good number of you are also either my age or slightly older. When Moi was the vice president, which is the number 2, he was so humiliated, so much so that an SSP called Mungai slapped him in the State House in Nakuru when he was going to go and see his boss who was the president. He did not complain publicly, he did not complain privately, he just went about his business. If you remember very well, when Kibaki was the deputy vice president of this country, which is number 2, he was dropped from being the number 2 and appointed a minister for health in the Moi government. He went to the president, thanked him for giving him the opportunity to be his vice for 11 years. Mr. Speaker, can you protect the House? It's too much sound.
Let's go on.
He thanked him for giving him an opportunity to serve as his assistant or as the vice president for 11 years and took up his job as the minister for health with a gusto and did a fantastic job as one of the best health ministers we have had in this country. Mr. Speaker, many people have been deputy presidents or vice presidents or number 2 in the executive here. I am glad I have been vindicated because about a year ago, I had said that Rigathi Gachagua is the worst number 2 in the history of this country. And I'm sure now I'm being vindicated.
Order. Order, members. Order, member. Is that Masara? Yes. Maintain your silence. Carry on.
I said exactly 1 year ago, Rigathi Gachagua is the worst number 2 in the history of this country, whether a vice president or a deputy president. I'm glad I'm vindicated today. I remember when we had almost a collapse of the state and the nation in 2008, and we had the national accord on the floor of this house, and you were also a member of parliament. Raila Odinga was made the prime minister of this country. There was Raila Odinga, and there was also Kalonzo Musyoka, who was the vice president. Technically, in law, Raila was supposed to share 50-50 power with President Kibaki, but he was happy to say that he will support the president. And he supported the president until the term was over. I mean, that is what it's supposed to be. Here is somebody who literally, when this country is on the brink of certain serious problems, goes to Mombasa, and many of us believe that he was part of the so-called whatever, the riots that were there and the goons that attacked parliament. And then he creates a parallel press conference in Mombasa in which he castigates the policies of his own boss. His own boss, including castigating people whose authority is driven by the appointment by the president and passed by this parliament, passed by this house. Mr. Speaker, this man is bad for this country. There is need, this man is a heartbeat away from the president. God forbid, if anything were to happen to our president, he is the president. He is a danger. There will be no Kenya.
1 minute.
If Gachagua has anything to do with, as far as I'm concerned, he did not even give me the benefit of saying that let's be careful with the Somalis, we don't like Somalis. He called us warrior. You know what I mean? He didn't give me even the respect or the courtesy. I could not say Mau Mau. I would say Kikuyus if I want to talk about Kikuyus, or look for any derogatory name. I will not look for that. He didn't give us even that respect of saying the Somalis of Kenya. He said warrior. They do not have any role. They are not shareholders in this government. And you know what? I come from a region, Wajir alone, Wajir County alone is bigger than Central Province, Mountain Region, Western Province, and Nyanza put together. In Nyanza, and you have not gone to Garissa, you have not gone to Mandera, you have not gone to Marsabit where we share with our Cushitic brothers, you have not gone to Shiloh. He's talking about half the country, and he thinks we are from Somalia.
time is up. Your time is up. Yes, Dr. Kogo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, my brother, for allowing me to pass on this information. Apart from what you have said, Mheshimiwa, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is on record for insulting women as malaias. And I want to go on record. He said that the one and only beautiful Honorable Jematia is a malaya. And somebody can negate that, and I have to say it. I thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, your time is up. Give him 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, Speaker.
Yes.
This country belongs to us all. This country belongs to all of us. If you try to marginalize me, and tomorrow I take up arms and decide to fight that, do you think there will be a Kenya? Do you think 100,000 Somalis taking arms, there will be Kenya? Or 50,000 Turkanas? Or Sabaots? Or Pokots? This man is playing with this country. We shall not have stability, Mr. Speaker. We must have a country in which we all feel that we are loved and we are equals. Equals! Mr. Speaker, I support this motion of impeaching Gachagua. Let's do it the fastest possible, and we should never have somebody like him in future in any position of leadership. Mr. Speaker, we are all equals in this country. There's nobody who's more equal. We fought for independence. All of us fought for independence, although some will want to try and hide the...
Your time is up. Member for Turkana at the back. That is who? Emathe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to just give some comments on the same. Honorable Speaker, when the Deputy President was being sworn in at Kasarani, I only knew him as a personal assistant to the former President Uhuru. And after he spoke and he sat down, I was seated close to Honorable Kiborek. I told Honorable Kiborek that this is not going to be a good person. From the analogy that formerly he was a PA to the former president, and the manner in which he spoke to me was in the contrary. I just said that when he was being sworn in, I didn't know him. The only thing I knew about him was he was a PA. Now, the chicken have come home to roast. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I support his impeachment the same manner in which over 92% of my constituents in Turkana Central have agreed that we do the impeachment. Honorable Speaker, the impeachment is in two parts. There is the anti-corruption part of it, and there is the ethical or the ethics part of it. I want to speak on the ethics. And Honorable Speaker, here is a man who is full of himself. He is a very proud person, and Honorable Speaker, he doesn't even know what to say. He just speaks in the manner that does not depict him as the Deputy President of this country. Honorable Speaker, the Bible in the book of James brings out the bad part of the tongue. It says the tongue is this part of the body that is a world of evil. It is a fire. Honorable Speaker, the tongue corrupts the whole body. That is what the Bible says in the book of James. Honorable Speaker, in this juncture, I want to say that as a UDA member in the Kenya Kwanza government, I want to say that it says we are not in agreement to work together with the Deputy President. I am not in agreement as a member who was ascribed to the party that I may not be able to work with the Deputy President because we have to agree. And what we are processing today here, Honorable Speaker, is a divorce. we are processing a divorce because under Article 56, this is a man who will not be able to speak for the minorities. He is a man who will not speak for the marginalized. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, again, we are processing a divorce because this is akin to King Nebuchadnezzar, a man who was like everything in the Chaldean, in the city of Babylon. And Honorable Speaker, Kenya wants to unite. Kenya wants to kill the animal called tribalism. This is not the deputy president that Kenya will require to kill the devil of tribalism. This is not the man who is ready to unite us. This is not the man who does not even know there are Elmolos in this country. He does not know that we have the Dasanach or the Merile in this country. Maybe at some point, because he has never been to Turkana, he does not even know the Turkanas exist in this country. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, this is not the man who can unite Kenya in the office of presidency. And therefore, I support his impeachment. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Edith Nyenze. Edith Nyenze.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this time to say what the great people of Kitui West have sent me to come and say. I know that the Bible has been quoted from the two divines in several ways, but I'm also going to quote the Bible, and I'm going to quote from John, from chapter 8, from 7 to 11. And actually, these were teachers and of law and Pharisees who brought a woman to Jesus, and they said that they found the woman in the act. And then they said, according to the law of Moses, such a woman was found in adultery, and she was supposed to be stoned to death. But what Jesus told them, he told them that if they do not have sin amongst themselves, they should be the first ones to cast the stones. But what these people did, they just looked and ran away. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this scripture actually highlights the importance of forgiveness and mercy, and challenges the self-righteousness and hypocrisy. Actually, what I want to say is that there is also reconciliation. Reconciliation should be given room. Dialogue should be given room. If there was dialogue with a former prime minister, there was handshake with a former prime minister, why not give dialogue to even the deputy president? So give dialogue, give reconciliation for the peace of this country. What the people of Kitui West told me is that they have more pressing issues. They have more pressing issues than this impeachment. And therefore they told me to say no to this impeachment, that they should be sorting their problems first before we even come to this impeachment. We have only 3 years to go before the end of the term. So why breach the peace? So whoever is righteous, let them be the first ones to cast the stone. Thank you.
Honorable Kororia. Honorable Kororia. I will give you. Kororia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I stand to support this special motion. The motion that regarding Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, should go home. Honorable Speaker, I can remind this House that during the swearing-in ceremony at Kasarani, the Deputy President humiliated Uhuru Kenyatta so badly before the nation and the visiting dignitaries in the Republic of Kenya. That was not enough, Honorable Speaker. after 3 months, he started attacking young people in Mount Kenya region, calling them Mungiki, to an extent of attacking Maina Jenga and calling him the leader of Mungiki, Honorable Speaker. Later, Honorable Speaker, he was not comfortable and satisfied with that. He went ahead to refer to the members of parliament from Mount Kenya region as Gakonia and Kunda Gotome and Komereras, Honorable Speaker. That is not acceptable, Honorable Speaker, because we all come from the same region and we are elected by the people. He went ahead, Honorable Speaker, to attack Raila Odinga and the Azimio fraternity, and saying that he has put Mitego so that they will not enter State House. And he was supposed to put Mitegos so that they don't enter Karen residence because he's not a president. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that we do not have two centers of power in the Republic of Kenya. We only have one president, and the sentiments of Rigathi Gachagua that they were elected together with President William Ruto is a lie. The person who was elected is the president. Gachagua was just a running mate, and there were no votes for a running mate, Honorable Speaker. Finally, yesterday during a press briefing, Rigathi Gachagua referred to this Honorable House as a theater of the absurd. And he's coming to this same house today. I don't know whether you are going to compel him to substantiate if he's coming to a theater or Parliament of Kenya. With that, Honorable Speaker, I'm saying Gachagua must go.
Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to support this special motion of impeachment against the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when the wheels of fortune have enabled someone to rise to high eminence, such as the office of Deputy President, so much is expected of them. Unfortunately, from my own personal interaction with the Deputy President, and shortly I will give some examples, I feel he has fallen short of the expectations of that high office. I first came across Mr. Rigathi Gachagua in the late 80s when we were at the university. And as a matter of fact, he was ahead of us, and I think he was heading one of the district student organizations. He had cleared university, but he had not exited. In other words, he had become a pirate. That was the terminology we used then. He was residing in some place called State House residence. And what I used to hear about him was not very impressive. But nonetheless, on October 7th, 2023, which was exactly 1 year ago, in some place called Murngia, Alego, at the homestead of the late General Francis Omondi Ogola, together with Mheshimiwa Elisha here, Mheshimiwa Nyamita, Honorable Jalango, I've seen him somewhere, and His Excellency the President, we did meet with the Deputy President. And it was about 6:45. He received us warmly, but we were guests of General Ogola. And as you'd expect, a man of his status, you expected some decorum, temperance, prudence, good behavior. But unfortunately, some of these attributes were not present in his conduct. The Deputy President on that occasion did stand up and tell the President to our face that he had come down to get him from the Nyanza tour that we were undertaking, and that he had no business staying for too long in Nyanza. I looked at him and I wondered what was the problem with his compos mentis. In other words, was he of sound mind? And then I asked myself, we were the guests of the late General, why would he want us to exit the homestead of General Ogola? And it bothered me very much, because clearly that was what you and I, as lawyers, we call animus nocendi, intention to harm. Why would he insist that the President has no business being in Nyanza? He said it to our face 3 times, interrupting General Ogola when we were being briefed about the attack that had just been conducted by Hamas on Israel. That was my first time to interact with him very closely. The second time was on April 30th, 2024. No, 28th April 2024, this year, when we had floods in Suba and several people died. I did communicate with him by way of text. I sent him pictures, including that of a gentleman who had lost 3 children. And I asked him to avail to me the state resources that I could use to alleviate the pain and loss of my people. He did not respond. He did not call back. He did not show any interest. On 30th April 2024, I did contact Honorable Kagusha, who was sitting next to him at a rally in Nyeri. And I saw Honorable Kagusha whispering to him my message. And they texted me back that the Deputy President would come back to me. He never did. On 6th of May 2024, I again reached out to him in his capacity as the coordinator of relief. He did not respond. I support this motion, and I want to say this. What I found with Honorable Gachagua is lack of education. Obama says, education is not a name of any degree or certificate that can be shown to others as proof. Education is the name of our attitude, actions, language, and behavior with others in real life. I'm on behalf of people of Suba South, I am supporting this motion, and I want to inform the House, our role today as a grand jury is not to establish beyond reasonable doubt any of these charges. Our role is very simple. Our role is to say we have found triable issues, frame the charges, leave that trial to the Senate. And once we do that, we shall have discharged our duty. Mr. Speaker, I fully support.
Thank you. Your time is up. Kanjori.